What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
The best late-night conservative talk for you, the best in conservative talk, the Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Talk dude. Talk dude.
Radio.
Talk dude. Talk dude.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Hey, it's November 12th, 2014. Welcome to another edition of the Sackheads Radio Show. I am your host, Sackhead Clint, sitting to my left, your right, because I know how you are oriented in your house. Don't ask how we know that, but we know how you're facing right now. So to your right is Sackhead Sean. I don't know if his mic is on yet.
It is.
Oh!
No. Sacco got me finally.
Welcome. So he got you finally.
Well, yeah.
After months of trying and lots of drinks. But I'm glad to see your microphone is up and working.
I'm number 3 on the important list. So he did his mic right away. As soon as he walked to the studio, his mic was verified. Right. He made sure it worked.
Right. At like 5:27 a.m., I think he had his mic working. So even before it was the evening when we were beginning show prep.
Right. And then he worked on yours for a little bit.
Right.
And, eventually, literally, while the
audio was playing.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Sean, by the way, check your mic. Yeah, it's not working. Oh, hold on a second. Let me adjust it.
Well,
what about now?
What was interesting is he said perfect. First, right? And then he kind of caught himself. It was kind of weird.
He's like, yeah, it's a lot better that way.
Yeah,
it's actually a lot better if you don't even talk.
We had that awkward silence there for a moment.
Yeah, no, it was great. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me on the show this week. I feel like a guest right now.
I know, right? It's kind of bizarre. Well, I'm not going to be on the show at all next week.
I know you aren't. You're going to be on a special assignment.
Oh, we're sending you out there?
Yeah.
I thought we canceled that.
To Sacco's mom's house.
No, we couldn't cancel that. It was too important. It was deemed too important
it was deemed
by the Sackhead cabinet.
Yeah, mission critical.
So
you voted on it.
You know, I was drinking a beer. I was a little bit drunk. Just a little bit drunk.
A little bit drunk.
That's how we get Sacco to sign a lot of contracts with us.
Right.
Right. So,
hey, where did this credit card come from, guys? Did I sign up for this?
I don't know what you're talking about right
Ken's already in the chat room. Sean's going solo. Breakup is bigger than the Beatles. It's not a breakup. We're just taking a break.
It's not a break. We're not even taking a break.
No.
Hey. When you say solo, do you forget about me?
Who?
Never mind.
We're not taking a break.
You're taking a well-deserved vacation.
It's not a vacation.
Come on.
That is good. Not a vacation.
No. You're going on assignment, and we'll hear all about it when you get back. So we're excited. I don't want to upstage you.
Okay.
I don't want to sell it too much. I like to leave the mystery because this is one of those fun ones that we can have mystery on.
Right.
So we'll.
I might be able to call in.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Depending on what's happening.
Well, it was like that time you went to find Sacco when we were looking for that new spot to
find
Sacco. Yeah.
Remember that?
So
this is kind of like
same
that.
Thing happened to the Supremes.
because somebody found Sacco's cage.
Sorry, I'm just reading in the chat room.
Oh wow, I wish I could read in the chat room.
Hey, you know what's funny is I was working on topics for tonight's shows, and earlier today I was looking at different things. Yahoo had an original story on the 5 worst cities in America. and it had to do with the newest crime stats come out.
They have to be all conservative cities that don't allow guns.
First of all, one of the things they
allow
kind
a
of
lot
buried a
guns.
little bit was the fact that there's been an overall 4.4 reduction in violent crime over the last year, according to the FBI reports, countrywide.
That can't be because more people have been buying guns.
Right.
So that's obviously wrong.
The cities with the highest crime rates are the ones that you expected: Detroit,
Right. So all the
Baltimore,
conservative cities. Wait, Detroit and Baltimore? Those aren't conservative cities.
Not at all. Although I think Detroit's starting to go that way. So I kind of page marked that to go back to it. And then all of a sudden, I tried to pull it up earlier, and they changed the title from the 5 worst cities in America or 5 unsafest cities to 5 safe cities in America. They took the 5 safest cities and then added the violent crime ones on a side note.
Interesting.
It was almost like somebody was like, hey, that doesn't sound good for our city. Can you change that? And I think it was Cleveland, Detroit, Baltimore, like I said, Nashville, and somewhere else that were the 5 most dangerous cities in America per capita. So, but violent crime in the country is down overall 4.4%. What's gone up in the last 2 years, that violent crime keeps going down? And by the way, I think we're
And gun sales.
Yeah, through the roof, right?
Right.
And I think we're at the lowest crime rate than we've been since the mid-'90s or early '90s. So it's so funny how they want to talk about the dangers of gun sales and how horrible guns are.
Yeah, obviously they are.
So much so that
horrible.
Yahoo, an uber-liberal website, had it essentially change their tune and rewrite their story to reflect, oh, no, we don't want to talk about the bad things because the bad things actually aren't as bad as they were. They're getting better. All those cities that I listed, the 5 worst, are actually having less crime.
You know, you understand that you are making my head hurt right now. We are 6 minutes into the show.
Well, we
are supposed to still be in general jackassery.
It is
and
kind
having
of general
a good time.
jackassery because we're not
It's
covering
not.
the topics.
This is a topic, and you're
It's
bringing
not a
out
topic.
facts, and you're bringing out, and you're making points right now, and it's not time for that. I haven't had an opportunity to wrap my head around what's going on at this point. You're showbizzing right now.
I'm not showbiz.
You want to bring out? Listen,
Hey,
you
what's
didn't.
that you said
didn't,
about your head wrapping stuff?
You
around?
didn't do the board.
No.
You wanted to bring a topic out.
No, I didn't really want to bring this topic out. It didn't make my cut overall. But when I was researching it, when I first got to the studio, the link I had was changed, and there was nothing there.
What made your cut tonight?
Nothing. I had nothing.
So basically,
I just didn't want to do all that research on that story. It was there's numbers and graphs and stuff. And
right. So basically, you were going to bring a story, and you were like,
that's
not,
too much
not,
work.
Not
No,
that
no,
one.
I'm not going to do that.
One.
I'm just going to kind of sit
Because
back
I'm the
and relax.
topic guy.
You are the topic
That'd be
guy.
like me setting up chat roll. It just wouldn't feel right. Right? We're like in Bizarro world right now. I did the intro to the show.
Yeah.
And you're bringing up topics.
It's weird, right? Hey,
it's
been 8 days since our last show, and it
has.
seemed like it was forever.
It does.
By the way,
I was not happy with that.
I was
just
not
used
at all.
like.
Yeah, it's
in a
weird.
sentence. If this had a couch and a crown, it would be Sofa King weird.
The King of Sofa is weird. Right. So I do real quick want to thank everyone that joined us on election night. Our contributors especially. Great job. Once again, Sacco did an outstanding job that evening, and everybody else. If you didn't listen, we're going to put up some of the interviews with Catherine Engelbrecht, Greg Phillips, Andrea, and we're going to get them posted just so you can catch up on it. And there was some great stuff going around.
It was an SHR Media All-Star Cast Extravaganza election night blowout.
That's actually we were going to use that for next year.
It really was, and
this was Election Zilla.
We had Jason in studio.
Yeah, that was a blast.
Which was awesome.
Yep.
He's such a professional.
Yes.
No, he really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean,
all business.
he is all business, and we are not. Right? Like we look, we take care of our business, right? We take care of our bill. We know what we're doing, but we're just he is very focused and very professional in what he does. He's very good at what he does, and we're good at what we do.
Right, but it's what we do.
But it's what
that
we
is
do
sometimes questionable.
That is sometimes right. Oh, I don't question it at all. I think it's
No,
hilarious.
a lot of people do, but us. So
Right. But it worked out well. I thought the chemistry on air
I thought we
worked out.
I thought everyone did
out
great.
well.
All of our contributors did great.
I was a little insulted though.
I want to. Okay.
He said honestly, Clint. He said at first, like I just thought you were this like lazy piece of garbage that basically did nothing.
I don't think he said piece of garbage.
I think he said piece of
no, he did not.
He
say
said
that.
doo-doo monster or something like that. And then he said, but you actually like
You actually know what you're doing. That was the funniest thing.
I was like, really?
I almost fell out of my chair when he said that. That made me laugh so hard.
I was like, I'm the research guy. Like, I got to know what I'm doing, right? That's my thing. Like, I'm the topic guy.
Well, and I laugh because I think the impression that a lot of people get as to what happens off the air and on the air, our personalities are very different.
Right.
And I just think it's funny that, and he's not the only person that's had that perception. I've had a couple people that don't know you personally like I do and are in here in the studio that had no idea. And I'm like, oh, no, when it comes down to facts and numbers and research, I said, Clint's the man. You know, like that's his wheelhouse. I said, he's horrible when it comes to actual radio.
Well,
case in point. Earlier this evening, we're setting up, and Sacco said, hey, we got to record new bumpers to go in and out of the break. The bumper is just like the little tagline or the little speech given by somebody.
Right, it's the thing on the front of the car, back of the car, that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So Sacco said, hey, we got to record a couple bumpers for the show. And I said, okay. And I did the bumpers in the past, and I did a couple other voiceover things. So I was going to do it. Sacco tried one. I said, no, let me do it. Clint looks at me and goes, bumpers? And I know he has no idea what I'm talking about. Stands up, puffs his chest, and goes, I can do bumpers, and starts walking over like he's going to record one. And I looked at him, and he essentially said, do you have any idea what it is? No, but I can do it. And that sums up Clint in every aspect of life. It doesn't matter what it is. Oh, it's this open heart surgery? I can do open heart surgery. It doesn't matter. That's just you. I can do this.
Right. Listen, I prefer to say fearless.
That's one way of looking at it.
Open heart surgery? Yeah, I got a Bic and a pocket knife. Let's do this, right?
So that kind of goes into like you on the production side of things. You are the content guy.
I am.
I kind of do the production in the sense of setting everything up and timing and all that stuff, and Sacco does all the audio work essentially. Yeah. But you do stuff like that. It makes me laugh because it doesn't matter what I said. Hey, we have to take off the satellite that landed on the asteroid, the European one, Sacco. We're going to launch that. Satellites? I can do satellites. And you just get up and come strolling over.
Well, yeah.
That's why I love being on this show with you, man. Every day's a trip. It really is.
I don't know whether that's a compliment or not. Yeah, but it just struck me. I was like, wow, that kind of hurt. Like it cut me deep.
It wasn't meant to cut you deep. It was just, like I said, the outside looking in. Nobody has any idea.
But old Clint came out for like a split
It was.
second.
You got a little hurt.
I was like, wow.
It's not often you're speechless.
How many people have I choked out in my life? Like, I had a flare-up for like a half a second, and then I realized he was being sweet, and I gave him a big hug.
Right. No, he did mean that in the nicest possible
way. No, I know
way.
he did, but like my initial
reaction. It was
reaction.
like a backhanded compliment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was great to have Jason in the studio. And
I
everybody else.
I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, we're doing it again next year. We're going to be bigger, better.
Next year's not really an election year, but whatever, Sean.
Next election. 2015, aren't you running?
Oh, yeah, I'm running.
We've been pitching that for 3 years now.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm running. Let's just run for real.
Yeah, why not?
Sackhead
2015.
Clint on a write-in.
It's going to be bigger, better in 2 years. We're going to do some other things this year. We're actually already in talk with our partners, the Exceptional One, and I think we're going to. We've also been talking to Pundit Press about some things. So we have a lot coming up this year. Again, I want to thank Pundit Press for their partnership on Election Zilla. That was outstanding, as well as AC Nation and the Exceptional One himself, and everybody who contributed and who hung out through that whole day with us and really was helping us. I'll tell you, our listeners were awesome. in the chat room all day, helping us out, get us info. I mean, they were feeding us info that we otherwise would miss. There was just so much going on. Kel was in there for a little while. I think Iggy's mom showed up for a while. It was really awesome. Mary was in there for a while. Our whole core group, and then we had a bunch of anonymous viewers, which were afraid to say anything, but it was great, and we really appreciate you guys, and that's why, that's kind of why we do this show. We do it because we love to hear ourselves talk. That's number one. But number two, it's you, the listeners, who really make the show a blast to do, and the feedback we get from all of our friends, and really our close ones. It means the world to us. So thank you so very, very much. And more great things to come. And Ken, my friend, we have an idea, and Clint and I pretty much think we can nail this.
Yes.
For coming up for a remote with you. And I am going to send it to you before we announce it because it's going to be a big deal. So that's the house cleaning stuff. I think we got caught up on that. Hey, we're ready to go. Let's jump into a topic.
It's in green.
Oh,
it's your
green means
topic.
go. So
green means Sean.
Same thing. Sean means go. I don't know what I'm talking about. So the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, our good friends down there in San Francisco, had yet another ruling, if you will, or decision involving California's CCW concealed weapons permit laws. California has very stringent, and some counties have very stringent laws. Unlike a lot of states where it's a statewide law, and either the state issues it or city issues it, but they issue it based on the state law. California gives the leeway to the cities and counties, if you will, to kind of make their own rules a little bit. And so you do have counties up until recently, San Diego, San Francisco, up until recently Sacramento. Sacramento completely did a 180. You do have some counties that are just, Yolo County is one, I know, I live there. Yolo, that don't issue CCWs unless you have quote-unquote good cause. And good cause is usually you've been threatened, you carry money to work on a regular basis or from, but not if you're like a cashier making a deposit at the bank. Usually it's only if you're the business owner. Usually if you're the night manager or something, screw you, you don't deserve it. It's only the business owner, which is weird. Why? Because they paid the taxes in the county, et cetera, et cetera. So back in February, the Ninth Circuit had a 3-judge panel who turned around and said, hey, you know what? These rulings go against the Second Amendment. You don't need to show good cause for personal protection, and that it's going too far. It's a breach of our Second Amendment.
Particularly since California overturned the open carry law.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
In California, prior to this, the court's philosophy upon that, based upon that ruling, would have been, hey, if you would have allowed open carry, then citizens could have legally carried a gun if they wanted to protect themselves, and they
Absolutely.
could legally possess a gun, and they could have the ammunition. So if they needed it in an emergency, they would have access to that. Well, California, thinking they were smart to kind of snub the open carry movement, decided that, well, we're just going to make open carry illegal. So now, to issue a concealed weapon permit, you have to show good cause, and you can't open carry anymore. So, you clinging to your gun, conservative, Bible-thumping lunatics. And the Ninth Circuit 3-judge panel said, no. You infringed their Second Amendment when you said you can't open carry, and you have to show cause. That's to and they actually referenced the Heller decision and the Supreme Court decision, the recent decisions relating to 2A issues, and said you can't do it.
Yeah.
Basically,
said
state
it's
legislature,
illegal.
you tried to screw everybody, and now you're infringing on their Second Amendment rights.
You've taken away their right.
Yep.
They had a right, you took that away, and now, because of these rulings, they are completely powerless to exercise their Second Amendment right.
Yes.
2 major appeals came up on that, and it was from San Diego originally and Yolo County. I'm sorry. This stemmed from a lawsuit out of San Diego and Yolo County. 2 very previously stringent gun laws and issuance laws. So the Ninth Circuit came out today and said, hey, not only can you not do that? But the time to appeal is pretty much closed, and if you didn't already have your fork in the fire, if you will, you're not going to be allowed in. The state did not. The Attorney General Kamala Harris.
Yet. She was looking to.
She was trying to, but the time has passed.
So they can't get intervener status, is what they call it, yeah.
And so there were some other gun control groups that tried to jump in as well that were not able to do it. So really the only person who has an active appeal that will be heard for the most part is the Yolo County Sheriff Prieto, who is the guy who in an interview said, I believe it's my job to keep guns out of hands of people who have committed crimes and just not been caught. That was a quote from him in the Daily Democrat out of Yolo County. I believe it is my job to keep guns out of the hands of people who have committed crimes but just were not caught. So he essentially says that he is now the jury when it comes to gun rights. That's a direct quote, and I can find it for you and pull it for you. That is a direct quote from Sheriff Prieto. Well, that's kind of a very Marxist attitude, isn't it? Real controlling,
certainly progressive.
Yeah,
right?
That's kind of crazy in my opinion.
Didn't he take? He took an oath.
Yes,
right.
He's to uphold the Constitution.
Right. So there has to be some liberal bastion somewhere in Yolo County, because Yolo County is a pretty agricultural. It's a rural county.
Right. For those who
there are a lot of conservatives in Yolo County.
Yolo County has a huge conservative group, and Yolo County is an enormous agricultural, like you said. It's literally the next county away from Sacramento to the north and the west. It's a couple hundred square miles. Like, it's enormous. It really goes all the way up and down I-5. It's a big county. Large majority farms, couple smaller towns, and then there's one city, the city of Davis, California, that has the largest population. And Davis is Diet Berkeley, California. If anyone knows what Berkeley is, just close your eyes and drive 90 minutes up the road and you're in Davis, and it's almost the exact same place. You may know Davis from the infamous pepper spray incident where everyone went nuts. More recently, you may know Davis for arguing against the police having the protection vehicle and giving it back that they got for the federal government, sent it back. Davis is also the people that have cited people. The city has cited people for noise disturbances for snoring. They have spent $25,000 for a tunnel for frogs. I really want you to understand the city of Davis.
And look, I just went to Yolo County Sheriff's page where it talks about Sheriff Prieto and kind of his background.
Oh.
And with his background, I'm actually very surprised that he seems to be as progressive as it seems he is. This guy was a member of the 101st Airborne Division of the United States Army. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. I mean, that's a very big deal, right? That's something to be proud of. I thank him for his service for that. He joined he was a member of the California Highway Patrol in 1968. There it says he worked in various commands, was a motorcycle officer and trainer, it looks like. And he actually promoted all the way up to a commander. So as a captain in that department when he retired, prior to going to becoming a sheriff. So with that background, first of all, I'm surprised that he seems to be as progressive as he is, like I've said. And number two, the California Highway Patrol to sheriff.
Yeah.
Like that seems weird.
Well, and here's the funny thing is the city of Davis has the highest amount of GDP, if you will. They make the most money in the county.
Okay.
Very liberal, like I said. And they back Prieto constantly because Prieto is so liberal. Nobody else can run against him strictly on finances. Nobody else in the county can get the finances that he can. He was just up for election this last time around, and nobody ran against him at all. And there's a lot of people in that sheriff's department. There's a lot of people I think that would have been a much better choice. There was a couple people that kind of threw their name around when the election first kind of got underway about a year ago. one of the guys, I can't remember his name, but he was a Yolo County captain, and everything I read about him was positive. But the money's not there. We talk about buying elections, whatever. Davis, the city of Davis, bought this election for Sheriff Prieto, and they have the last couple, and it's essentially discouraged people from running against him. And there's been allegations, though none have been confirmed, that if you stand up against him, he pretty much ruins your career.
Huh.
So, and that doesn't include the 4 or 5 different times that he's been sued for harassment and other things from female employees. It doesn't include a lot of things. This is literally just the 2A aspect of it.
So I have a question real quick that just came up while I was checking out the Yolo County Sheriff website.
Uh-huh.
So there's a vacation house check request.
Yeah.
It's a form you fill out.
Yep.
And it basically says, hey, I'm going to be on vacation. Here's my address. Here's the information for, if there are lights on, what cars should be there, that sort of thing. Is this discoverable for a public records request?
I don't know.
Like, if some intelligent thief were out there and said, hey, Sheriff, I want a PRA for all your vacation house check information sheets.
That would be interesting to see.
Listen, if that happens, it's not me that did it, first of all. So maybe I regret saying, but but I'm just curious because it's a public form from a public agency.
Yeah, you know what? I
like, shouldn't that be a phone call?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or marked confidential or something?
There should be some sort of confidentiality in it.
It's just something I thought about.
Because you know what? If you're a bad person,
right,
you could use that for evil things.
Yes.
Especially if you requested, say, 5 years and looked for patterns. You know what I mean? There's a lot wrong with that. So if they're not marketed confidential, they're essentially hanging their
or do they destroy them?
Destroy them. Well, maybe they destroy them.
Right, they do. So maybe, it'll take us 2 weeks to process your PRA, and meanwhile it's expired.
Right. Either way. But still, that's kind of I've never thought about that before. And that's kind of an interesting approach.
You're looking at me like you're kind of scared right now.
I am a little nervous right now.
Is nervous because of the form or nervous because of my mind?
Both,
okay.
Actually. Fortunately, I don't live in the county, so if I did that, it would not be through the county, so that's good. And actually, I have my friend across the street who he checks my house with his 308 while I'm on vacation. So
perfect.
It's way more effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of the catch-up. And now, listen, where it goes from here is it's going to be interesting to see. Yolo County is the only one that has the fork in the fire. It's going to be interesting to see if he keeps going or if Prieto backs off, because now, and we talked about before, he could be one of two things. Either the liberal hero that keeps up the good fight, and there's a lot of money in Davis, and a lot of people may push him to do that. Or is he just going to say that at this point it's so far gone, he's the only person in the entire state of California fighting it, just let it go. And hopefully, I think the next hearing on that is sometime in early 2015, if I'm correct. So hopefully we'll know more about that. But listen, you know what? Again, Ninth Circuit Court, they can be a little crazy sometimes.
Again, a lot of times. Well, this was a 3-judge panel,
right? So
not the full court.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. But they made the right decision, and hopefully they keep going with this on the correct decision that is absolutely constitutional versus the non-constitutional ridiculousness that we live with now.
I'm hungry.
I am hungry too. Maybe after the show.
I didn't get a chance to eat tonight.
I didn't either. I really didn't. We rushed right in, got some stuff done, and here we are. Why are we talking about this?
I don't know. Maybe somebody will volunteer to make a run.
No.
I told you I would.
I wasn't here. I got here late.
No. I spoke to you directly. I said, you said, I'm hungry. And I said, you didn't eat anything. And you looked at me, you gave me a grunt. And I said...
That sounds like you.
So,
I have a glazed over look on my face.
So you're high.
No. Let's not spread rumors.
That's how bad things happen.
That's how bad things happen.
Did I say that, or did you say that?
You said hi.
Yeah, I was trying to say, hey, hi, how are you doing?
He's in a food depressive state.
Right, glazed, as in I need a donut.
Almost
donut.
comatose.
I don't know if I can find a 24-hour donut shop.
Yeah,
Right.
if there was
Krispy
a Dunkin'
Kreme.
Donuts out here, there would be. Anyhow,
No, Sean, hold on. What do you
What?
want? Let me. I'll go out there and get you something.
all
What
right,
do you
well,
want?
let's take a break. We're
Well,
up
let's take
against
a
a break, and then
do
we'll
it.
do
We're up
the
against
order.
a break. Why are you doing this right now?
I want the world to know what you're eating.
I don't. You don't want the world to know what you're eating.
Hey, that being said, we are up against a break.
No, he's gluten free.
No.
Why do you guys always take things that way?
Wow.
Are you
No
kidding
comment.
me?
Okay, you're not getting anything.
When we come back,
Don't read the tagline.
I don't, but we're going to talk about an amazing revelation that occurred this week involving Obamacare, and there's some more information out there that we're going to discuss. And we will do that on the other side of this break here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR
It's a great nickname.
Media Network.
I'm so excited about
I'm
that
so
nickname.
excited, too.
It is so great.
Politicians.
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying calf for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on The Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border and says coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to the Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
I don't even know what we're doing right now.
Bumpers.
Are we bumpers? I can do bumpers.
I know. Go for it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Ready?
You're good.
I'm good.
Yes.
Are we coming back? Are we going to be back?
We're back
after the
now.
break. I don't know when we're coming back. We're going to be back at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't know where that is.
Right now, just say it.
I don't know when that is.
Just right now.
We're coming back.
When are we coming?
Are we back?
God dang it.
Sackheads Radio Show will be back.
Okay.
I think. Sean, are we back?
We're back. All right, we're on there.
And we're back here live in the Sackheads Radio Show.
I didn't know you guys recorded that.
Live on the SHR Media
I told you I
Network.
could do bumpers.
This is why, I try to explain this to people. I'm so glad Sacco recorded that because it lets people in a little bit into our life. It really does. What Sacco and I go through every single week.
How hard it is to get any audio done.
Oh, it's impossible.
So
because if it's not him intentionally screwing it up, being a jerk and like just trying to be funny. 20 minutes before we're going live.
Hang on a
Soccer
second.
Wait, no.
Trying to be funny. I'm freaking hilarious.
You're right. You are.
And I've got emails from fans.
20
to prove
minutes
it.
to air. I'm trying to record bumpers with Sacco, and Sacco still has to edit it, produce it, put it in the mix, and then upload it into the sound effect rack. And I'm recording it, and every single time I open my mouth, Clint yells something out. Or, as we've done in the past, his unintentional interruptions, where we'll be recording something, he'll be like, "Hey guys, did you see this? Oh, you doing something? Cool."
Which are the best ones, really.
Just never ends. It just never, ever ends. So,
oh, my goodness. Well, listen. So this segment is called American Voters Are Stupid by Jonathan Hans Gruber.
This segment's also brought to you by Windrock Wealth Financial. Go see our good friend Chris Casey over at windrockwealth.com.
Really? Speaking of financial, because
because he's
Tectonic Towers or something.
Because he's the one that Chris and the good friends at Windrock are not evil and aren't intentionally deceiving people. As a matter of fact, if they were involved in this, it maybe would have worked a lot better.
Okay. So Jonathan Gruber said this time John Wayne does not walk off into the sunset with Grace Kelly. That was Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber.
That was Hans Gruber.
Hans.
I apologize. And then John McClane said that was Gary Cooper, a-hole. So that's not the quote we're dealing with.
Hans Gruber being the
right
bad
now.
guy from Die Hard.
Right.
Okay.
So which is how Jonathan Gruber got his nickname Hans.
Right.
So he
And
is...
amazingly, if you're an American, you're going to die hard because of Obamacare. So
there's
a lot of similarities.
Similarities here. And just remember, you heard it on Sackheads Radio first.
Yes.
Jonathan Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber.
Yeah, his nickname is Hans. And that's who it is. Do we have the audio from
Hey, Sacco, can you play
jackwagon?
clip number 1 and then we'll talk about it? Go.
It's just, you can't do it politically. You just literally cannot do it. Okay? Transparent financing, unless I have transparent financing, also transparent spending. I mean, this bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies. Okay? So it's written to do that. In terms of risk-rated subsidies, if you had a law which said healthy people are going to pay in, it made explicit that healthy people pay in and sick people get money, it would not have passed. Okay? Just like lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass. And, it's the second best argument. Look, I wish Mark was right. We can make it all transparent. But I'd rather have this law than not. So it's kind of like his reporter story. There's things I wish I could change, but I'd rather have.
So that's amazing. I would rather have this law so we'll deceive everybody just so we can pass it.
Because I would rather.
Because I and my group of liberal elites would rather
have this
which
law.
is why Nancy Pelosi said the amazing words of, you'll find out what's in it.
After we pass it.
After we pass it.
Right. Well, we have to pass it to find out what's in it. Old pistol grip. Gotta love her. There was a second, the Kelly file played another tape that was found of him saying the same thing. He was speaking in October 2013 at Washington University in St. Louis, and he was talking about the Cadillac tax on the health plans that were the higher end plans. And he said, quote, "They proposed it and that passed because the American people are too stupid to understand the difference." We have a ruling class. Listen, this is the kind of crap that starts insurrections.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? This is the kind of crap
you
that,
just
that
insulted
starts,
the entire American public.
Yeah, this is the kind of crap that starts rebellion. And you're part of a ruling class, right? You're part of government. Government is purposefully deceiving the people where the power is supposed to lie.
Derived from the
they're
people
passing
to the government.
things that are blatantly illegal. They know it's illegal. They're doing it in order to hide and conceal what they're doing because they think the people are too stupid to really know what's good for them or to understand the difference of what's happening. Well, my first question is this. Hey, Hans, because you are the bad guy in this, right? You are the villain of America right now. So Hans, if the American people are so stupid, why do you have to deceive them?
Right.
If they were so stupid, wouldn't you be able to pretty much just straight up say, oh, yeah, hey, we're going to pass this law and it's going to be good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're too stupid to know the difference. So we'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Odds
so if
are.
we're so stupid, why take a ridiculously high, large volume of paper to write a law that is so convoluted, so confusing, purposefully written to be that way so people could not easily understand it? If we're stupid, why would you have to go through those lengths
right, you
to
wouldn't have
conceal
to
what
just
you're
throw
doing?
it out there. Nobody would. Right.
If
we're really that dumb,
right,
then you would have got no opposition anyways.
Right, because we're too stupid to know the difference.
But reality is, that wouldn't have passed.
Because the people are smarter than that.
Because the people in this country are a lot smarter. We may not always pay attention. And I'll give that. And a lot of that is because of how media presents things.
Not we at Sackheads Radio or SHR Media.
No, or any of our broadcast partners here on the SHR Media Network.
Correct.
But as a nation, I think that we get inundated with news. So much of it is partisan. A majority is progressive. And people just kind of tune out. And I think with this, if as much argument that went into this, if we actually had the ability to read and understand it and take their perspective on it, it never would have passed by a lot of Democrats, too. I think a lot of Democrats, either for political expediency or just for doing the right thing, would not have passed this.
Mm-hmm.
But because the American public was duped, hoonswoggled, bamboozled, they had to. A lot of the Democrats did support it because the backlash would have been destructive if they didn't politically, because they know that so much was deceived or deceiving that the people would have just sided with the talking heads outright.
So Hans actually went on to, not really apologize, but more to express his regret. He went on.
Right, I didn't mean for you to hear me say that.
He went on Fox.
Sorry.
Well, not Fox News. He went on MSNBC.
Right. He went on SHR.
He went on SH. No, he wouldn't go on SHR because he's too big of a sissy. But he said, "quote I was speaking off the cuff and I basically spoke inappropriately, and I regret having made those comments." No, I didn't mean to. I should not have purposefully deceived the American public.
The American people,
because we serve them. But no, I regret actually saying it out loud because now the gig is up and I'm pretty much going to get found out and it could be bad. That's basically what he says.
Well,
right? Did you see what Trey Gowdy said?
I did not, actually.
I love Trey Gowdy. I really hope that he runs.
I do too.
I do. He said, quote, I can't even get past the irony of that to even get to the arrogance of him calling our fellow citizens stupid.
Yeah, and folks, this was the guy that the MIT economist, the Obama administration went out of their way to find someone who's quote unquote bipartisan and is going to write this for the right reasons. But we know they lie. We've known they lie. You look at all the other things that have come up in this administration, they lie. We knew when this jerk was writing this, it was a lie. But to have him, listen, if he wrote this for the Democrats and the Obama administration, believing what he was doing was the right thing in the sense of not that the people were stupid, but that the people would accept it. Okay. But he wrote this with specific deception for the American people because, like you said, he is part of the ruling class elite.
Mm-hmm.
And the American people... and we talked about the Solicitor General arguing this when the case was going on and being argued in front of the Supreme Court about it. Is it a tax? Is it not a tax? Et cetera, et cetera. And we pretty much said, you know what, the Solicitor General has an out because you said he could argue that he believed this to be as it stood on its own merit versus what I think was the case. And I'm not saying you disagree, but my argument is that he should be brought up on perjury charges because he intentionally misled the Supreme Court.
Look, I want to know. Well, I think the Supreme Court. Yeah, that's. I think the Supreme Court knew exactly what was going on with it. But here's an interesting thing that I want voters to remember, particularly the Republican Party. Hans wrote Romneycare.
Yeah. He did.
So Jonathan, quote-unquote, Hans Gruber, not only wrote the Obamacare law, but wrote the Romneycare law. And the individual mandate is very, very similar. And there's an article that I read on Huffington Post, of all places, that discloses this. So it's not like this report is on, just conservative or just liberal.
No, it's...
But it's, look, Huffington Post. And Gruber talks about the fact that they are very similar. They aren't the same exact mandate, he says, according to the Huffington Post article, but they have the same basic structure. Mitt Romney is not a conservative. Why would the Republican Party even be talking about Mitt Romney as a potential 2016 candidate?
Well, and we can go back to the argument of states' rights, not state rights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
But it doesn't matter, right? Even though we can argue constitutionality of healthcare laws at the state level versus the federal level based upon 10th Amendment argument, well, the Constitution doesn't say the states can't do it, therefore they can. Okay. But I would expect a liberal progressive governor to enact something like that. Well, so then we could have the debate at the state level, and now here's where you get into the conservative versus progressive principles, right?
Right.
And Romney enacted it.
I told you living there during when Romneycare was being passed, and I was living there, a majority of the state wanted it.
Yeah.
So you get into that strange argument of, on a state level versus federal, is he... No, he's not a conservative. We can all throw that away. He's not a hardcore conservative. He's a moderate rhino at best. But was he listening to the people who elected him and ruling within law to represent the people that he was elected to, or was he a shill? That's the other argument.
Is he a shill, or would he have been a man of principles? Hey, you elected me to represent you. I am representing you. However, this is against my principles of liberty, of individual liberty. This is going to do bad things for you as an individual and your liberty, and I cannot in good conscience sign this because I am, in fact, a man of principles.
No,
that's not what he did.
I agree. No, and that's not what he did. But it had overwhelming support in Massachusetts by both houses.
Well,
so that's Massachusetts Republicans for you.
Right, but that's my point, right? So how is he going to slam Obamacare? Or, I mean, and yet this Hans Gruber guy wrote Hans. I love that.
It doesn't matter what his first name. It's Hans now.
It's Hans. Yeah, we're just going to call him Hans.
Jonathan.
Old John.
Old John.
No, I like Hans. We're calling him Hans. So, look, just... the fact that this man, I'm disgusted. I am so disgusted by this, and how there is not greater outcry from the American public on this. I want to know if Congress is going to do anything.
That's my biggest question right now. Is Congress going to do anything?
Call Hans. Hey, Hans. So you think the voters are stupid? We're here to represent the people.
The voters, the people,
and we're not
What was your
stupids.
directive when you were hired? What was your directive?
Were you told to purposefully mislead the people?
Were you told at all costs you will get this passed, even if that means lie, cheat, and steal? Or
that was the case.
Right, but you have to get it from the horse's mouth. He'll never admit to it.
Who, Obama?
He either.
I thought you said horse's mouth.
But
mouth, not ass.
Either way. You're looking for gift horse, or I don't. It has something to do with the horse.
Something about good teeth.
I have to go see a man about a horse. That's all I know. But right. See if they drag him in front of Congress. See if they make him testify. All of his evidence is already getting destroyed and rewritten and redacted as we speak. They're already setting up for that. They know as soon as this came out, the administration already started hiding everything that they needed to hide. I would like to see them put him on record, but it's going to turn out like Lois Lerner. He's going to turn around and plead
take the fifth.
Yep, right away, boom, done. But I would like to see right now, I want them to already be subpoenaing emails and already going
between
into records.
him and the White House.
Yes, absolutely. And if it was in any room that had recording equipment, pull in those tapes and find out exactly what was going on. This was, and we did nail it a long time ago. We nailed it. We knew this. Us and our friends. I mean, it wasn't just us. Rooster nailed it. Ken nailed it. We all said this was all.
Yeah.
Horse.
We all nailed it. As a matter of
hockey,
fact,
if
I
you
think
will.
it's up there on the quote, right up there.
Yeah.
Healthcare law.
Yeah,
we called that
shit.
Yeah, and that was Sackhead Clint, because you got the quote for the next one.
Exactly. We all called it, but the American people, there was still a section of American people that believed that everything was on the up and up. Listen, you're always going to have those low information voters that never really follow up on things. They take a lot of things because, and in their defense, you should be able to trust your legislators. You should be able to trust your government, not trust them with your beyond reason, but you should believe that what they're telling you is honest. In a perfect society, I agree. But reality is what it is. Look at this administration alone. Look at every controversy, every single thing that has come up in this administration in the last 6.1 years. Well, just shy of 6 now. And you start looking at all the lies. Look at Benghazi. Look at Fast and Furious. I mean, we can go on and on and on.
We can, and we know this administration is shady.
And there's a reason they jammed it down the throat, and they didn't worry about the economy. They didn't worry about any of that other stuff the first 2 years when they had both the House, the Senate, and the President.
I want to talk about the deeper meaning of this, though. Mm-hmm. When you have an administration or a government that is purposefully concealing things, hiding things, misleading, acting against the interest of the people, and basically doing whatever they want, acting with reckless abandon, that's tyranny.
Mm-hmm. That's very tyrannous.
Right?
That's absolutely tyrannous.
That is complete tyranny, because here you have an individual
who's putting themselves outside and above, right?
Yeah. I mean, he is imposing his will and the will of a very few upon the people as a whole, and he's not doing it in a direct way. He's doing it through a very sneaky, underhanded way, right? Well, listen, it's not that they're stupid, and we just went through that. So at what course of action do the American people really have? Look, this is the kind of stuff that, and I'm not trying to incite anything here. I don't want violence, but this is the kind of stuff
that leads to it.
Well, I really believe that. We have, listen, an overwhelming majority of Americans are peace-loving, law-abiding citizens.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, even those peace-loving, law-abiding citizens are going to say enough of enough. At some point, the state legislators are going to say enough is enough, and you can't oppress our citizens
anymore,
or us, and therefore we have the right, we have the duty to throw off your government and create a new one for ourselves, because that's what our Declaration of Independence is, which is one of our organic documents.
Mm-hmm.
So, where are we headed? Look, the Republicans have, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, so I don't want to showbiz the last segment, but the Republicans have Congress now, House and Senate, after the first of the year. We still have an Obama administration. Look, news just broke as we were prepping for the show that he's going to release a 10-point immigration plan, executive order. So we still have this president acting very imperialistic.
Oh yeah.
We know that members of his administration do things such as Hans in order to get whatever they want done, and will of the people be damned.
Yeah.
Right? Constitution be damned.
Well, and I it's funny is you talk about this, and we're going to talk about
it's sad.
Lynch later.
Yeah.
In a later segment. But why do you think he's moving so quick to get Holder off the table and out of sight, out of mind?
We'll talk about that, but
I teased it.
You did.
Well, listen, you have a guy who knows that outright tyranny can't be possible in this country, right?
It is possible.
Well, but outright. I mean, he cannot. If he
this is it.
But if listen, hear me out.
Okay.
If he walked up and declared himself Emperor of the United States tomorrow,
okay,
he would lose. It would not be. He would lose outright.
Okay. So what happens? What happens if there's what happens if there is a quote unquote disaster? Right. Hey, we can't have a fair election for president in 2016 because of climate change, right? Or because of the severe drought that we're having, or these voter ID laws, people are disenfranchised. We have to have martial law.
Right.
I'm the president. I'm suspending the Constitution. No. I'm still the president.
Right. Okay. So, but even if he did that,
okay,
I don't think people would stand for that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
So how do they fight it?
Well, through the states, like you said, to start.
Okay.
You have to take a democratic approach to start, right? You have to try to, even though he is not, you still have to try to live by the Constitution. If that becomes...
But you can't. It's been suspended.
Right. But he suspends it. Doesn't mean we have to accept it as a state.
But that's my point.
Right.
That's where we start getting into that.
But what I'm saying is just hear me out for a second.
Okay.
This guy, if he throws on the crown tomorrow, says, hey, you know what? I'm now Emperor of the United States. People would lose it, right? I mean, absolutely, this country would fall apart. So he needs to gain that power without being that in your face about it. And how did he do it? Through deception.
Right,
like
just
you
like
said,
Hans.
it is absolutely tyranny. Now, if he tried to declare martial law, now, if we were legitimately attacked by another country, nuclear weapon, et cetera,
what if the financial sector collapsed?
But just hear me out for a second.
Okay.
Then I think people would be more accepting. I'm not saying it's right, but would be more accepting to martial law in the sense of, hey, you know what? We are trying to defend ourselves against a foreign attack. Our country's taken 3 nukes. State governments are destroyed. I think people would be more accepting. I'm not saying it's right, but I think people would be more accepting because of that actual emergency. I think he would have a hard time selling one of these faux emergencies to the American people overall. I think people have woken up the last 2 years, and now they're paying attention more than they haven't.
I completely disagree.
Okay.
If you have anything like a Katrina, if you have anything like if the financial system collapsed, if you have anything where there's any kind of drought or a Ebola outbreak, right? Some kind of pathogen outbreak, and people are scared. People don't know what to do. They rely on the government to get things. They don't know how to hunt or feed themselves or procure water for themselves. They don't have the skills necessary. He could easily boost that up and boost fear and turn that into a manufactured emergency in order to declare martial law to stabilize the country.
I don't think people would accept it. I'm just saying I do not think people
I disagree
would accept
because people, particularly in large population areas, they don't know how to get their own food. They would not know how to procure their own food, their own water, to sustain themselves if you had, for example, a collapse of the dollar. And you look at what's happening in the world right now where you have China and Russia talking about moving oil off of the dollar as the primary method of exchange.
Yes.
Okay. The dollar is losing ground on the global market.
I understand that.
And when that happens, the dollar can and will collapse. So when that happens, these people, particularly in these large population centers, will not be able to get what they need. There will be people losing their minds in chaos.
But I also, and maybe it's a little naive, as Rooster would say.
Right.
But I also look at what happens during real disasters in this country, not man-made disasters, real disasters in this country that happen. Either the 9/11 attacks, natural disasters, floods, etc. And I look at how people respond.
People still lost their mind in Katrina. You had cops that are confiscating people's weapons in Katrina.
I understand.
That's a hurricane in one small area.
Yes.
Right?
But I think the American people overall once that comfort is gone, because right now everything's comfort level. We are way too comfortable with society. But I think once that comfort level is stripped and there's bread lines and all of a sudden we start seeing flashbacks of Russia in 1980, I think you will see people react extremely different. And I think that you will see...
You don't think you'd have looting?
At first you would have all
and
that
at
stuff.
first, you would have the federal government come in and say, we're going to control this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it would take.
Right, but I don't know if outside the major cities, if the people would allow that to happen.
But it doesn't matter. That's your major population centers. Once that happens and he has that authority, he just declared himself emperor and put the crown on without outwardly
Right,
putting
you
the
have
crown
7
on.
or 8 large cities, and then you have
Right.
the rest of a country who's not going to stand for it. It'd be an interesting conversation.
I think we just had it.
No. It would be interesting to see, but we need Brutus knives are on sale at Walmart, says Ken McClinton. He also said that I sound like Cato the Younger, and that's probably the nicest thing that's ever been said to me in my life. Now, I disagree with you, and we're going to agree to disagree because the segment.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, I agree that you're wrong.
I agree that you're wrong.
I disagree that you're right.
I mean, we can go all
Hey,
night
segment's
about
over. Sean's wrong. When we come back.
When we come back, I'm going to discuss more about why Clint is wrong.
Followed by election night coverage.
Hey, Sacco, why don't you play us into a break like a good old boy? Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Coming up next, you're going to listen to 3 minutes of silence because Sacco's... Oh, hey, look at that.
Is this a Barbra Streisand song? Thank you, Sacco.
In a world
Sean, you want some fries?
controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying cow for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border with coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Now Now back to the Sackheads Radio Show. You nailed it, Sean.
And we're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us. This next segment is brought to you by POFUSA.com, Patriot Ordnance Factory. Just in case Clint is right, you want to make sure that you have a POF-USA rifle ready to go.
I have two things, speaking of Clint being right.
Okay.
So, Representative John Lewis. He
No
is,
relation.
No relation. Because there's, 8 billion Lewises in the world. During the whole Ferguson thing that went on,
yes,
this United States representative from Georgia actually called for President Obama to use his executive authority and declare martial law on Ferguson.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm totally far-fetched. I'm an a-hole.
Second
of all, Ben Carson.
I never said that they wouldn't try to declare it.
Ben Carson.
I never said they
San
wouldn't try to
Antonio,
declare
Texas, October 25th, 2014. Dr. Ben Carson.
Scumbag.
Right? Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Very intelligent man. Went on the Alan Combs radio show.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Alan Combs radio show, he was on the show on Friday, September 26th.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about there are several scenarios where President Obama could, in fact, realistically declare martial law,
Yes.
use the military to enforce it,
I
and
understand
even
that.
suspend the elections of 2016. Now, when the United States military is enforcing this, we, as the American public, we've been disarmed to such a way that we can't really fight against that.
Not all of us.
You can't fight. Well, you don't have an aircraft carrier. As much as we have talked about having an aircraft carrier on this show and making that happen, we don't have one.
I tried to make a last-minute play for the Kitty Hawk.
I know. I was with you, remember?
I was outside the Naval Recruiter's office with the checkbook. They wouldn't take it.
So there we actually have a Democratic representative calling for it, and we have Dr. Ben Carson, again, a very, very intelligent man, as evidenced by the statements he made, which closely parallel mine. So
I'm not.
So that's
I never said he couldn't call for it. I'm saying that the people wouldn't stand,
but
including the military.
Okay, now that's an interesting argument. So some of the military would, right?
I think
because
I think
particularly his top generals.
Yes.
But now you're getting a discussion of what would that soldier do? What would that captain do? What would that first lieutenant do?
It would be
different story.
It would be a civil war all over again.
Potentially, yes.
Yes.
Different story. Now you and I could agree on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we arguing about?
Because I keep trying to tell you I'm right, and you keep arguing that.
But you're not.
No, what I'm saying is he can declare all he wants, but I think after the initial shock and awe of it is over, I think that the American people would fight back. And I think that you would see states with their National Guard control. I think that you would see militia. I think that you would see a large majority of military, not a small one.
I think you'd see some of the military fight back.
And I think you would see the quote-unquote working portion of the military, the people that actually put the ammunition on point and people who put munitions where it needs to go. I think you would see that side of it. It may be something as simple as pilots refusing to fly.
Okay, so he could do it.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he could not do it.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I don't think the American people would allow it to go that far.
Okay, so I'm saying I think it would go that far. Now, what happens once it went that far?
Right.
I think everything you talked about after that, yes.
That's my whole point.
So what are we arguing about?
That I'm right.
You're not right. Okay.
Oh,
you're more left than Obama.
Back here for hour 2 on the Sackheads Radio Show. Hey, if you get a chance, don't forget to join Kel, Tim Burton, and Agador at 1 p.m. tomorrow for Islam Exposed here on Block Talk Radio. Not here, but on Block Talk Radio. You know what I mean. Also, check out the Ag 6-minute Unpleasant Blind Guy.
6-minute Ag?
Dude, if you haven't heard the Unpleasant Blind Guy show, it's usually 6 to 10 minutes. Ag is a riot. It's awesome, though. It's a very, very smart guy. So we want to talk a little bit about election results. There's still some elections that haven't been finalized. There's still, in our area alone, Ami Bera and Doug Ossie is still fighting it out. They said today that Bera took like a...
That's dirty.
500...
That is dirty.
What?
That race is dirty.
It is getting nasty.
No, I mean, it's dirty like... I think Doug Osee won that election.
Oh, no.
Absentee
Yes.
ballots.
Being dropped off at the last minute.
Yes.
And this happened... Jason said this happened down his neck of the woods in Los Angeles. There was a couple reports. Same type of thing. Last-minute rush for absentee ballots that were dropped off at 7:59.
Which typically tend to be conservative.
Yeah. And because they're coming from the more rural areas.
So dirty. Yeah.
Doug Osee was holding a 3,000 vote lead up until 4 days ago, and then all of a sudden Bear is up by 500, which, from what I understand, the areas that the absentee ballots are from are the more conservative areas, the more rural areas, so that defies logic. It's to the point that they have attorneys and representatives from each candidate inside the registrar's office counting votes and challenging signatures, challenging votes, challenging all this stuff one by one. That's how close it is in Sacramento in the Barrett Osee race. And there's been a couple other places. Listen, we're going to have a runoff out of Louisiana, and that's going to, I think, coming up here in December. Greg Phillips said that Andrew's going to just fall hard in the runoff. A lot of people have seen the light, if you will, on her.
We have a winner in Alaska.
We do have a winner. Finally, we have a winner in Alaska. And his name escapes me right now. I just had it up in front of me. But it was
his name is the 9th Republican pickup.
It's the 9th R pickup. But so we have the win there. Overall, and this is amazing too, is they talk about incumbents and anti-incumbents, and the Democrats were quick to throw out that this wasn't an anti-incumbent election. Oh, this isn't about this isn't about the Democrats. It's anti-incumbent. That's what their argument was. Nancy Pelosi said that.
Yeah, because not one Republican incumbent got reelected.
Only 2 Republican incumbents got ousted, and one of them got ousted for a different Republican. I mean, so they have tried to spin this right off the bat. The president said he's just going to keep doing his thing, however illegal.
Well, he said
however illegal it might be.
For the 2/3 of you who didn't vote,
yeah.
I hear you too.
Yeah, exactly. What?
Yeah, huh? Yeah, they didn't vote because they didn't want to vote for maybe
anybody. And that's okay too.
Right.
But either way, they didn't vote for your guys.
Exactly.
That's the same as voting against your guys. So that's
like you see the bully kicking somebody's butt on the schoolyard and you just stand there and watch.
Right, you're indifferent.
Right. You're not going to help the bully.
But you're not helping the kid who's being bullied.
Right.
And it doesn't even have to be a bully, non-bully argument. It's just you're indifferent. And there are a lot of people out there that choose not to vote because they didn't have a candidate that was worth voting for. And I actually respect that. Because we talk about all the time is having candidates of principles and knowing who to vote for. And Iggy in the chat room just, I'm pulling it up now, just put up a link that I'm going to kind of scroll through and talk about in a second because it's actually really good. It's out of New York. The Democratic incumbent, Slaughter, received 96,800 votes to Assini's 95,931 votes.
Wait, was that the name of this election, the Democratic incumbent Slaughter?
That should have been the name for it.
I thought that's what you said.
But it brings a difference of 869 votes in that one alone. So there was a lot, even in Republican losses, it was really close. And a lot of it just had to do with the fact that there were more Democrats registered in those areas. So the numbers were against them. But I look at any win in California, and if Osee wins, and I'm not a huge Doug Osee fan, per se. He's no McClintock.
Right.
Seriously, he's not. He's Doug Osee. He's a career politician. McClintock's
but he's better than Barra.
Oh, boy, he's 10 times better than Barra. He's a lifelong politician, but he has conservative leanings.
Right.
Versus McClintock, that it's a conservative in office.
Conservative, period.
When we saw him talk at the Cal GOP, he was awesome.
Oh, we saw him talk when Larry Arnn was speaking from Hillsdale, remember?
Yeah.
But Tom McClintock was there.
And then, but we also saw him at Cal GOP and all the different caucuses rooms and all the different candidates were talking, and you had Neil Kashkari, whatever. He was in the Tea Party caucus, and we couldn't get in, even with our press passes, only because there was no room. And we got there early
Right.
to try to cover it, and there was still no room. So you look at these races, and you look at this election, and this was an anti-Democrat and anti-Obama election. And if you want to read that whole article, go to aaigimom.wordpress.com. She writes the article. It's all about that New York election with Slaughter and Assini. It's really, really kind of amazing. And I don't want to upstage her article because I want you to go read it, but definitely check it out. But there's been a lot ever since this election. The Democrats immediately try to spin. Oh, it was this, it was that, or, we didn't get enough people out, or, blah, 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 blah. At the beginning, we said nobody wants Obama, nobody wants any major Democrat to come up and stand with them. And you look at Ami Bera had Clinton show up to UC Davis to help stump for him, and he still, and Bill Clinton, the quote-unquote good Clinton, if you will, the one that people will still deal with, and he's a humongous Democrat sweetheart, humongous vote getter, and he still couldn't turn out enough votes to just give Ami Bera, which a week before the election was projected to win by 5 points easily, to turn it around and make it a neck-and-neck race. And, yeah, he's up by 530 votes right now. I don't think that he is going to maintain that. And if he doesn't maintain that, then I call shenanigans. I really do.
So, after Senate went back, they went back to Washington, and see what Harry Reid said. Harry Reid was talking about, hey, we have about 14 days, working days, for this lame duck session or for this session, and they want to pass bills on pay equality for women, increasing the federal minimum wage, and passing bills related to student loans. And Harry Reid says, now listen to his tone, there's no reason we cannot work together on these issues.
Who said that?
Harry Reid.
No.
Yes.
Well, hey, I'm all about getting along, guys.
Yeah, we love each other. Hey, guys, go grab a beer. I wonder how they're feeling now about the nuclear option.
Yeah, no kidding, right? All of a sudden. And that was
if Mitch McConnell reverses that rule.
Yeah.
If I were Mitch McConnell, I would reverse that rule right at the very end of this session.
Yeah, we don't believe in that.
Yep.
We believe in our government being done right.
But I would keep it for the 2 years that they have them.
Yeah.
Just right.
Oh, hey, you know what? We finally got to this, and we're going to dump this now. I know we're out in 15 days, but we meant to do this earlier, but Harry Reid was still here.
Right.
And I've been sticking my middle finger up at him the entire – well, he should be. He's not. If I was Mitch McConnell, this is literally what I would do. First session in January after everybody's in, I would walk up, thank everyone for being there, turn to Harry Reid, and flip him off. And say, oh, man, get ready for it, because this is going to hurt so bad.
Bo Hicka.
Oh,
Bend
yeah.
over, here it comes again.
Yeah, this is going to hurt so bad. All that crap that you've been pulling for the last 2 years, you shutting down the government and blaming us, you having hundreds of bipartisan bills on your desk from the House that you refuse to push through in the Senate, here it comes, baby. Seriously, I would stop at CVS, get the biggest thing of Vaseline you could possibly buy.
No, I wouldn't do Vaseline. I'd buy sand.
Egg just said in the chat room, just as I said that, have him, better than that, have him hand Vaseline to Reid. Here you go. You're going to need this for the next 2 years. Another funny statement, too, and it's weird how, listen, the Democrats are just in a state of dismay right now. And there's amazing infighting. So there are quick calls to have Nancy Pelosi step down as the future minority leader. I heard a couple from inside the Democrats saying, hey, you know what, we need to change that face if we're going to get anything done, essentially. I know her plastic surgeon's been trying to change her face a lot more, but either way. And she comes out and says, you know what, if we had won this midterm, I was thinking about resigning, but now they need me more than ever.
Right.
Just think about how BSC that is for a second.
Right.
She is so insane that she believes now that she is one of the very things that people voted against.
Yes.
And now they need her more.
Yes.
Does that not scare the hell out of you?
No, I think it's hilarious.
And the sad part is
she doesn't represent my district.
Right. She's going to get elected again in her district. San Francisco will elect her again and again and again and again and again.
Yes.
I have heard things about Barbara Boxer talking about retirement all of a sudden.
We need term limits.
We do need term limits. Huge term limits. Huge term limits. And they're already having this conversation in the chat room. That's why our listeners are the smartest listeners on the face of the planet. Started by Iggy's mom. Let's talk about leadership now in the House and the Senate. And I'm with Iggy, I think, on both of these. I may argue. Who do you see as the leader of the Senate now? Majority Leader Senate.
Who do I see or who do I hope?
Who do you see and hope?
I see Mitch McConnell.
Okay. You don't think he'll be ousted? You don't think they'll vote him?
I don't.
Okay.
No, he's been the minority leader for too long.
Mm-hmm.
He's already kind of setting himself up that way with some of his comments about, hey, I'm optimistic about working with them. Obama shouldn't do anything about immigration right now. Be like waving a flag in the bull's face or whatever specific words he said.
Don't get my party angry because I can't control him is essentially what he's saying.
So he's I think he's kind of set up that way. I wish that was not the case. I think we need a conservative in there, or at least somebody more conservative than him. Same with the House. I wish it wasn't Boehner. I really do, but I don't see them. I mean, gosh, I don't see them giving it to anybody else. I mean, you may have some people try and make a play for it. I don't see it happening though. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you.
I would love for it to happen. Don't get me wrong.
Right, and I have a hard time. And in the Senate, yeah, it's going to be it's going to be McConnell because they just won't do anything about it. I would like to see either somebody like a Ted Cruz get put up, somebody even Rand Paul. I
don't think it would be Rand Paul. I would love it,
but it won't be.
But it won't be
because the more conservatives now. We have, if you will, if you're looking at the Republican Party and the conservatives, we have picked up more conservatives this election than we've had before. More conservatives have been able to write on conservatism, run on it, because the progressivism has destroyed the country. I think a lot of people saw that. I would like to see
Saxby Chambliss.
Good. Now the chat room's starting to come alive with it. Eggs also says Cruz in the Senate, Gohmert in the House. Okay, I could go with that. I could also, Iggy said Trey Gowdy.
I like Trey Gowdy.
I like Trey Gowdy. I think Trey's got bigger things to deal with than to get caught up in that.
Yeah.
And I think he's too smart for that. What about Paul Ryan?
I like Paul Ryan. I don't know that he would do it.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I would like anybody other than
these
people, right? Unless they said, "How about John McCain?" I'd be like, "Hell no." But
yeah.
Look, I take anybody else.
Well, and I think you're going to find that person, especially in the House. I mean, the Senate's kind of a done deal. Turtle's been there for way too long, and they're just going to vote for him because there's been a lot of, it's been the same senators there with him for a long time.
What about Marco Rubio in the Senate?
he's for amnesty. You'd have that immigration
He
issue
is.
pulled.
I have one. Jeff Sessions.
Sessions would be a good one. I think Sessions would be a good one. I mean, there's a lot of names you can throw around, and anybody. And this is if I was Reince Priebus tomorrow, and I wanted to
I would resign.
Right, but I wanted to reclaim a little bit of conservatives to actually support me again. I would start the anyone but Mitch and anyone but Boner campaign right now.
I don't think. Look, I think Lance Priebus needs to resign.
Oh, I agree.
I don't think the Republican Party understands.
Well, they don't understand their voting
what's
base
happening.
anymore.
They really don't.
Nope.
I was having this discussion with somebody the other day, and I said, they said, well, who would you like to see in 2016? I said, I would like to see Rand Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why. I think people are tired of Bush. I think people are tired of Clinton's. And look, I think that the Bushes were principled men. I really do.
Yeah.
I think George W. Bush was a principled man. Same with his father. Jeb, I think he's principled. I disagree with some of their politics. They do have some progressivism in them. Jeb Bush is pro Common Core.
Yeah.
Look, he's not a true hardcore conservative in what I would like to see running or what's important to me. And I think that if you had a Jeb Bush, I don't think the conservative voters would come out and vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Mitt Romney, just like John McCain. I think that if they ran Rand Paul, which would scare the crap out of the establishment.
Yes.
But if Rand Paul got the nomination, if the establishment could back them, he would pull the Republican vote. He would. He would get the Republican vote. He would get the conservative vote.
I believe he would as well.
He would get the Tea Party vote.
Mm-hmm.
He would also get the libertarian vote.
Huge libertarian
and you wouldn't
vote.
have that 2 to 5% who vote for that libertarian candidate.
Split it out.
You know how there's always that libertarian candidate and they pull 2, 5, 7% right around there? We look at some of the other races, even gubernatorial races or whatnot, that libertarian candidate is pulling a percentage of votes. I believe a lot of those votes would go to a Republican. And I believe they would go to Rand Paul. So you would gain there. And I think you would also be able to pull seats from some of the more socially liberal folks that believe, hey, if you want to smoke weed in your own home, smoke weed in your own home. Don't do it with kids in front of anybody else. Don't do it and drive.
You'd get a lot
those
of
sorts of things. You would get independents and even some liberals that had those leanings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's one of those, hey, gay marriage, it's not for the government to decide.
Either way.
Either way. Not for the government to decide, which I agree with.
Right.
Right? And so he's really not pissing off
anybody
there. Other than, so I think he'd win. I really do. He would just be pulling too many of those other votes, I believe. So that's who I would like to see in 2016. In the House of Representatives, look, I like Trey Gowdy. We've talked about it before.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see Trey Gowdy in there because I believe he is a man of principle.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty much he's a straight shooter.
And you know where he stands on
everything.
everything.
I like Paul Ryan. I think that Paul Ryan has the political clout to be able to kind of get people together and have a direction, and he has the testicular fortitude to stand up and not waffle like Boehner has. What's Boehner done? What happened to this lawsuit he was supposed to file?
Lawsuit? What lawsuit? Oh, we're going to hold off on that now.
Oh, we don't have any lawyers, really?
We don't have any lawyers.
There's no lawyers in Congress, not one anywhere, right?
You can't get any lawyers to support it because that's not what the people in Congress want. I think the conservatives in Congress want to worry about impeachment.
Look, if he's doing something illegal, if he's doing something wrong, if he's doing something extra legal, meaning Obama, then bring impeachment proceedings.
Right. Right.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Time and again, we've said that before.
Right?
We can't say that enough.
No, that's what you're supposed to do.
That's your job.
Let the Senate find him not guilty or guilty, whatever it is.
Right.
But if you believe he's done something, he's violated the Constitution, he's violated his oath of office, he's doing it time and time again, he's doing it on purpose, he's become tyrannical, then impeach. That is your duty.
Well, and he had the opportunity, listen, this last go-around, he should have started it. He should have, because you would have got the vote for impeachment from the House, right? No matter, for the most part. I think you would have had Democrats jump on.
You do it now.
But, right. But here's the problem, is now it's going to be the witch hunt versus if you did it while the Senate... let's just hear me out.
I'm not saying anything. Why are you yelling, hear me out?
If you did it while... Because you were already shaking your head. Because your nose knocked off 2 cups and a pen from the table. You were shaking it so fast.
And you stood up to hush me up without me saying anything. Your belly knocked the computer over.
And the lamp and the chair. But that's not important right
not
now.
Important.
And then if the Senate said no, okay, then the Senate said no. But you may have actually gotten a couple more Blue Dog Democrats to jump on board. And whereas now you're going to have everybody who is left of center say, oh, this is just a witch hunt. This is just a witch hunt. You're only passing this because you can. You're only impeaching them because you can. They're going to turn it into, just like they do everything else, and they're going to turn it into a race battle. They're going to turn it into an economic battle. They're going to turn it into a lot of things. And they're going to incite the riot through that. And I believe they will.
I agree with you that you will incite the race battle. You will. I mean, anytime you speak out anything sideways against this president, it's the race card. But here's where I think why you could do it now. You have new evidence that came out about, not evidence, but you have this new audio out, right, about the healthcare law.
You also have the Shaheen thing with the Tea Party. And
you also have the Shaheen thing, yes. So there are new things coming out now where they can say, well, hang on a second. Plus, you do also have 53 seats right now in the Senate. So if you're worried about conviction, McCain's not going to vote to convict. I don't think he voted to convict Clinton, and he obviously lied. I mean, right? And it was for lying, not for a blowjob. So Mitch McConnell, I don't know whether he would vote to impeach or not. But even if Mitch McConnell is the majority leader, he has to bring. If the House sends them articles of impeachment, they have to hear it. So that's my take on it. I think they could do it now because there's new stuff. Right.
I want people to understand. I'm not saying that he should not be impeached. I think he should be.
Right.
I'm just talking about the political and the timing of it. Correct. I don't want anyone to confuse that.
No, I don't think that was confusing.
Okay.
I just think that there's new stuff. If there was nothing new, then you may be a little hard pressed to do it now, right? But with new stuff, I don't know. I think you could do it and be okay.
There's a lot there right now. Hey, listen, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Obama's nominee to fill in Holder's spot, and Massachusetts gets fisted by the feds. Back here in 3.
No, that's the name of the segment. It's on the board.
We'll be back at 3 on SHR Media Network.
Like fisted hard.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying calf for the stupid program.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
If our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border with coordination, we have to take a
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show. Sometimes. You're listening. That's all. Okay, carry on.
Good job, Sacco. Fun with bumpers. That's what we call that segment.
What I can do bumpers. Bumpers, I can do bumpers.
Welcome back to the last 30 minutes of the Sackheads Radio
I can do 30
Show,
minutes of the Sackheads Radio Show.
live on the SHR Media Network. This portion of the program is brought to you by Windrock Wealth. Make sure you check them out, windrockwealth.com. So,
listen, I found this story and I thought of you. And I read this story a little, I just found it. I saw the headline, New England coastal communities threatened by...
Fisted by Obama.
Fisted by Obama is a headline, but it's a headline in our studio
Right.
on the board that I wrote. I actually did write the term fisted. Because that's essentially what they did to Massachusetts. And I don't even think they went in bladed first.
No.
You're dirty. So, I saw this story, and I thought of you, which made me read further, because otherwise I'd be like, yeah, okay,
whatever.
the feds are going to do something else. Cod fishing. Who cares? The only thing I know about codfish is that's what Peter Pan calls Captain Hook.
Right.
Right? And I eat fish sticks. Fish sticks. That's S-T, not with a D. And I read this story before.
Go on.
Thanks. Well, you're giving me that look.
I know.
Like high-fiving me for that. And I actually got angry.
Mm-hmm.
So the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, did you know there was such a thing?
Yes.
Okay. They are shutting down cod fishing from Provincetown, Massachusetts, all the way to Canada. This administration is shutting down cod fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So from Massachusetts all the way up to Canada. And this is going to severely impact the industry, fishing industry in that area. It's going to have a negative impact on the economy, on jobs in the area. They're doing this in order to reverse the low numbers of cod in the Gulf of Maine. They're going to have no fishing zones. There's fishermen, right? There's fisheries. There's how many coastal communities are there? And you would know better than I.
Right.
But these are the questions I had coming up as I was reading this, so I wanted to bring it up on the show tonight. These coastal communities depend on this fishing industry. And I don't know how many of them there are, but if there's one, that's too many if we have people that are going to be out of work and so forth. And so just hold that for a second, because I want to – this is how ridiculous this is. I actually went to the Federal Register website, and I found some other federal agencies that regulate the ocean. And why the hell are there so many? So the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the one that put this ban into place, I went to their website, and it's so nice. It talks about how NOAA protects, preserves, manages, and enhances the resources found in 3.5 million square miles of coastal and deep ocean waters. The National Ocean Service provides products, services, and information that promote safe navigation, support coastal communities. Support coastal communities. Nope, that didn't happen. Sustain marine ecosystems, and mitigate coastal hazards. So how do you support coastal communities and sustain the marine ecosystem? And, we do it by regulation and prohibiting people from
hamstringing them
doing their jobs. Mm-hmm. So then I read also, did you know there's also the Federal Maritime Commission?
Yeah, they're totally different.
Yeah, it's completely different. They are an independent federal agency responsible for regulating the U.S. international ocean transportation system for benefit of U.S. exporters, importers, and the consumer. So it's a good thing that fishing has nothing to do with the American consumer.
Right.
Oh, wait,
it totally does. Totally does.
Huh. Well, they're supposed to take action in order to address unfavorable conditions caused by,
Yeah?
Well, the FMC protects the public from financial harm and contributes to the integrity and security of the U.S. supply chain. Huh. Oh, never mind. That could be in contact. What if the Federal Maritime Commission attacks the National Oceanic? That'd be awesome. Then there's the United States Coast Guard.
Right. They have a hand in all this as well.
The United States Coast Guard has a marine environmental protection program. Did you know that?
Yes.
So why isn't the Coast Guard enforcing this? They're trying to protect the marine environment, right? The CODS. Well, hang on, there's more. There's also the Fish and Wildlife Service.
Yes.
It's in the name.
You would think they'd be somewhere up there on the fish.
Fish.
Yeah.
Right?
To protect it.
We got to protect
and other
them.
Wildlife.
Listen, there would be no wildlife in the United States or fish
if it
was not for the Fish and Wildlife Service. But thankfully, we have the NOAA. Hang on, there's also the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management.
Well, that's huge.
It's big. They're there to promote environmental protection, economic development. Never mind. Yeah, completely unrelated. There's also the Marine Mammal Commission. Now, a cod is not a mammal.
Right. But
however, the people fishing for them are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not all Marines, but if they're on the water, I don't know. There's also the Maritime Administration, which sounds a lot like the United States Coast Guard and some of the things they do.
Mm-hmm.
Including ships, shipping, port operations, facilities, national security. What, national security? COD security.
COD security, national COD security, national COD and life security.
Right. Oh, and bring greater focus to the areas of environment and safety. Weird.
Well, let's talk, first of all, let's talk about how this impacts the average person. You look at those towns.
In your home state.
In your home state, Massachusetts. Most states, most cities on the coast of Massachusetts have a big fishing population. It has been for a long time. Cod has been one of the oldest and most active fishing resource, if you will. It runs, they're talking about Provincetown up. They also leave out those on the south side of Cape Cod and Massachusetts. And there's a bunch of fishing towns down there as well, down Route 24, where you have a huge fishing population who somehow find their way around Cape Cod. They fly up the Cape Cod Canal, go out into the bay, and then go out and fish those waters as well. So it's not just looking at Cape Cod North. You're also looking at, you hit those towns as well. Provincetown obviously has a big fishing population, all of Cape Cod on north and south side. You move up the coast and you go through Hull, Boston itself. Boston still has a big fish. Boston Whaler. There's a reason they make those boats there. Lynn, Winthrop, all the way up the coast to Gloucester, Cape Ann, all the ones up in the Cape Ann. Rockport, Manchester by the Sea. It's right in its name. Hingham, Weymouth, Plymouth is another big fishing. Wareham, Westport, I can keep going on and on and on. All these folks have a cod fishing portion. Gloucester is one of the most well-known. Everyone in the chat room already said the Gorton's fishermen. There's already been a stranglehold on fishing in Massachusetts, and it really hurt a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the fishermen get around this one or two ways. They either have to abide by it, or they have to chug out further into international waters where the regulations aren't as stringent. And there's still regulations out there. And most people think that if you go 12 miles out, you don't fall under the you still have the Coast Guard out there. You still have all these agencies out there, and because it's what is considered part of the country still. It's the territorial waters, and it goes pretty far out. I think it's something like 30, 40 miles out. So now it's costing them more fuel, more money that they have to pay the fishermen that they hire on the boat because they're going further. They're not getting as many cod, and they're not getting them in quick enough back to the processing plant. So now you're talking about the survivability of the food, how long it can be held for before it has to get offloaded.
You also have some of the smaller fishermen and companies and whatnot that operate boats that are too small to go into the deeper allowable fishing zones for right now.
Right off the shoals,
right.
And all that. You know, Gloucester.
So it's going to affect. It's going to affect.
Them as well.
Those businesses as well.
Gloucester, Massachusetts, which is a beautiful city, but it was hit hard during the last fishing restrictions. I think it was about 8-10 years ago, and within 6 months, the narcotics use went through the roof because now you have all these crime went through the roof. All this other stuff went through the roof because now you have these fishermen who are out of work, and they start looking for alternative ways to make money, i.e., however they can. And unfortunately, some of them do turn to crime. You know, fishing's one of those things where you don't really, like, your background isn't in effect, so a lot of former criminals and stuff do take fishing jobs.
People with questionable backgrounds.
Right. Because they can, and it's good
have
paying money.
Gainful employment.
Right, and they can support their family, and
it
is good money when there's a good fish to haul. When there is no fish, these go up. You know, and they're going to talk about studies and this amount of fish, that amount of fish, whatever.
The lowest we've seen in 4 decades. They're not rebounding. We have no idea why. The scientists can't figure it out.
Yeah, the fish moved.
Scientists can't figure it out, so we're not going to let people fish.
Right, and this is exactly what happens is the fish move for whatever reason. They decide to move. If you've ever watched any of the fishing shows, you get to that point of the season where the captain goes to where he always catches his best catches, and they're not there, be it crab, fish, whatever. Why? Because they move in schools.
Because they fish the entire population. They fished that group of cool kids that like that area.
Right. For whatever reason, the same reason why this is amazing, too. We talk about, you look at the shark increase in Massachusetts. Great white sharks all of a sudden are showing up off the coast of Massachusetts. And follow me on this.
No offense, Ken.
No offense, Ken. The great Caucasian shark shows up off the coast. And they're like, well, why these fish even coming up this far? They never come up this far. And now, because the food has moved up to there. There's a huge influx of seals and everything in Cape Cod. So the sharks are following the food. It's just like any other.
It's like you moving from room to room in your house.
Right, wherever I can find the food, that's what I'm there.
Right.
So it's just like any other species. They're looking for the food. And if the food moves, the food doesn't necessarily move for any reason other than the fact that it moved.
Maybe their food moved.
They're wild animals, right. Cod are notoriously eat off the bottom, so whatever they were eating off the bottom, lobster, crab, clams, whatever it is, could have moved.
So litter more.
Right, litter more. Let's throw them some food and get the cod population up. And we've seen this before. They go off the Georgia shoals, which it dumps incredible. Well, cod are bottom dwellers. They can go as far down as they possibly. You wouldn't believe how far a cod can go down. That's how they're designed.
With fins and such.
Yes. Because they're bottom dwellers. Their body's meant to take it.
No, I get it.
So they hit the shoal and they hit the Georgia's bank and they go off that wall. And now you're looking at 3/4 of a mile down. Fishermen aren't fishing that. You just can't fish that far down.
By the way, I got a visual when you talked about going that far down and then bouncing off the wall. I literally pictured a fish going down and then bouncing off the wall. Speaking of bottom dwellers.
Too far down at the bottom.
Right. Speaking of bottom dwellers, did you know that...
What an amazing segue. Go
I know, right? This isn't about Hans again. But speaking of bottom dwellers, did you know that the U.S. imports cod from China and Russia?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, what countries were talking about going off the dollar? Anyways, I'm sure it's fine.
This is not at all related.
Yeah, go on. I don't even know what I was talking about, because if we can't fish it here, then we're going to have to increase
But
our
now, in
imports.
an already struggling economy, and despite all the industries coming back, fishing is not an industry that has come back really because of the limitations on it. The cost of diesel fuel is through
Look what
the
the feds
roof.
did to the fishing industry in Hawaii.
Absolutely. The amount of diesel fuel has gone up. The price has gone up. If you've ever tried to get fuel on the ocean, it's incredibly expensive. You're paying like $2 or $3 more a gallon. Well, all those big fishing trawlers are all diesel run. That's what they run off of. Insurance is now up through the roof because all those ship boats or all those small boats are small businesses, and they have to deal with Obamacare because they may end up qualifying. You have all these, plus never mind the environmental costs that they have to pay just to go out there. All gone through the roof in the last 20 years. It's going to destroy even more.
I'm going to close the door on the segment.
Yeah, go ahead.
And we need to, just because we only have a few minutes left, and I want to get to
Too late, Saka.
I want to get to Obama's nominee for Attorney General.
Yes,
go.
So.
And we're done with that segment now as well.
Wow, nothing but timing out of this guy, I'll tell you what. So, Attorney General
Lois
nomination.
Lerner.
No, Loretta Lynch.
Oh, I knew it was an LL.
She's currently the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, which she took over in 2010. Before that, 1999, 2001, she was the U.S. Attorney for that area as well. So, but I was shocked. Because she is not as controversial as I thought she would be.
She doesn't seem to be.
She's a Democrat.
She is, and she's anti-voter ID laws.
Yes,
but she's been pretty fair. I mean, she has prosecuted Republicans. She has prosecuted Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
She did go to bat for that child rapist that got like a 2-year sentence or whatever in New York.
Mm-hmm.
She prosecuted him federally. So she's been pretty fair in her as far as I know, and what I've been able to read about her and research about her. She's pretty fair in how she does her job, right, and how she enforces the law.
Mm-hmm. And I would agree with that. I think she's been. I mean, obviously, we don't know what she's going to do once she gets in, but we're going to judge from what we see in her history. Yes, she's a Democrat. Yes, she's an Obama appointee. She went to Harvard. We could talk about all the evil that she may do and could possibly do once she gets in that position. But here's why I don't think she will, and here's why I don't think...
you don't think she'll be what?
Over the top. I don't think she's going to be a holder or anything like that as well.
I don't think she will either.
I think in order to have some sort of credence and some sort of accountability, Obama picked kind of an anti-holder who is still an Obama supporter.
Right.
I don't think you're going to see her chasing things like he did. I don't think you're going to see her I think if you look at some of the little cases that she has, and like I said, I haven't been able to dig into it as much as I would like to. I think she would have prosecuted the Black Panthers.
I think she would have. I really do.
So, we knew we were going to get a Democrat. We knew we were going to get a Obama shoe-in, if you will. She was originally appointed by Clinton to one of her first positions. I don't know what we're going to get once she gets in, but judging, she's going to get approved. She'll absolutely going to get approved just based on her history. There's no argument to the contrary. There's a couple little things like we've talked about, but there's not much where you can say, she's just a complete shill for the Obama administration. I think that he is going to keep a distance from her. I think she's going to keep a distance from him. And I think you may even see her throw a couple gimmies, if you will, to the Republicans.
Look, so one thing she did in July 2014, Eric Garner was the individual who the New York City cop put in a quote unquote chokehold, and he died. Lynch did meet with the family of Garner in order to discuss potential federal prosecution of the officer. I mean, the guy was fighting the cops, and he was put in a hold to try and control him, and the guy died. I mean,
right.
So to meet with that family, whatever. But here's why I think this Obama administration wants her confirmed before the new Congress. I think this is going to be the most politically palatable nominee he's going to put forward.
Before anything else.
So the Republicans, I think, are going to vote for her. She'll be
Mhm.
confirmed, no problem,
Mhm.
and he knows that. So if he's able to get her confirmed now while the Dems still control the Senate, then any nominees that get caught up, given a hard time, the radicals he's trying to try and push through after the Republicans take, he can say, see, listen, when the Democrats had it, the Republicans voted for her, voted for my nominee for Attorney General, but now that they have the power, look, they're holding everything up. They're not going to give me what I want. They're doing this just to play politics. And I really think that's why there's a push right now to hear that confirmation prior to
the changeover here.
Prior to the changeover.
The changeover is coming up quick.
That's why I really believe that's why I think he picked her, and
I
that's why he's trying to push it through now.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And we could go, if we go case by case by case, we could probably pick apart a million different things that she's done. But overall,
at least 7.
At least 7. I think overall, she's going to be a non-factor. I think that Obama now wants the light to be shined off of the AG's office and the Attorney General himself. I think he politically knows what a nightmare Holder, even though he wanted Holder to create it, now that it's a nightmare, he wants to pull it off because Holder did a lot of things that he wanted done. And now that he's accomplished that, he wants to have the fire kind of drop down. Listen, he's getting into election mode, either for his third term or Hillary, one of the two. I'm not saying which one it'll be. But he's going to do, for the next month, he's going to be out of control on what he's going to try to pass. And then he's going to be complete lame duck for about 6 months, and then he's going to start pushing Democrats again because he's going to try to get the next Democrat elected. I think she's going to be overall a fairly non-factor. I think that she's going to just kind of take cases as they come. I think that she is not going to blaze any trails, but I don't think she's going to kind of turn her cheek to anything. I think he wants the attention off of the Attorney General's office, and she's going to do that. Or at least she's going to try until, like you said, maybe a year and a half from now that could change. But I don't think you'll see her showing up in Ferguson. I really don't. I don't think you'll see that happening.
Particularly not with the evidence that came out.
Right. Well, in that type of situation is what I'm saying. I just don't. She's a very, very low-key type person.
I'm sorry, I caught this story. There's a school district in Maryland that's going to strip the names of religious holidays from their school calendars, like Christmas and Easter.
Oh, they're just going to call it Festivus and Bunny Day?
No, they're not going to call it anything. They're just going to strip those names. And they wouldn't even have the day off if it wasn't for the fact that there would just be a large number of absences from students and
right.
staff.
That's all they do it for is, and that would
not for any religious person.
That would affect how they get money, because then if their attendance falls under a certain rate, blah 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 blah.
Right. I think the federal government should remove it from their federal calendar. Like Christmas should no longer be a federal holiday since it's such a bad word. I want to know what progressive, liberal, communist hippie actually has the balls to try that one out.
We'll see. I'm sure we'll see it at some point.
In our lifetime, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple closing notes in the chat room. Egg says, I think she'll be crap, and I'm throwing that down now. Iggy agreed. Iggy said that in New York, she hasn't prosecuted a lot of Democrats in New York, and she's kind of held back on some things. So it's going to be interesting.
Should be a lot better than I think she's the best we're going to get out of this administration.
Right. I hate to say it, but it's the best sandwich.
And she seems to be like, from any account that I've read about her, she seems to be pretty fair. Again,
right.
I don't know her. I don't know.
And she could be out of control once she gets in there. You know what? She may be going in there with an
right.
agenda, and Obama says, hey, if you want this, you got to do X, Y, and Z. I'm setting you up with money, essentially, for the rest of your life. You'll be able to do speaking terms. You'll be the first African-American AG.
Female,
blah, 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 blah. And you got to do this for me. And it's all possible. Listen. Anything's possible right now with this administration. Anything's possible with this presidency. We've talked about all the different possibilities time and again.
Martial law.
What? Marital law, martial law, same thing. But I hate to say it, but there are times too that I think that we lose this in this country is you have to have a little bit of hope, even if it's going to get dashed and destroyed.
Listen, we had some damn hope. We had hope in 2008. We had hope in 2012.
No,
it doesn't work.
No.
Hope and change.
Real hope.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Hope that our Constitution is going to actually be enforced. Every once in a while, you just got to feel like that.
Or you can pray for
it. Thank you very much, my friend. It's been a great show.
It has been.
It's so nice to be back. That extra day killed me. I don't know why. I wanted to get back at the mic, and I almost came in the other day and did a show by myself that didn't broadcast to anyone. I was just going to turn the mic on and talk to myself for 2 hours, and then laugh at the jokes that I imagined you saying. It would have been sad, but it would have worked.
Hey, what are you talking about? Do you like
Ebenezer rule?
How often do we call each other on phones and just banter like this and pretend we were on air?
I know, but it's not the same. Without Iggy in the chat and Egg and Ken and Liz and
I know.
all of our friends.
Are we going to the Conservative Black Caucus this year?
I think so.
I want to.
I want to as well.
I want to go. You think we'll be made honoraries?
I doubt it.
Okay.
We'll see.
Like honorary members of the Black
We will
Caucus.
see you next Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We absolutely love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Sacco, thank you so much. Play us out, my friend.
So anyways, there's this llama, and I couldn't believe...
You haven't explained the whole llama thing yet.
What are you talking
You
about?
didn't say how the llama got in the bank.
That's the funny part. Like, who brings a llama into the bank? So you could have like your seeing eye dog, or I mean whatever, but a llama? I'd never seen anything like that before.
But did it have the vest and the harness on it?
I knew it wasn't a llama because it was looking at me like it was judging me. So it definitely was not an alpaca.
Okay. Well, llamas judge, alpacas just deal with it as they go.
Right.
But did it have the seeing eye vest?
In America.
No.
Radio. And listen,
we're
there
off?
are no people better on the air to give you the
They
best
should have.
in conservative talk. Weird. Sackhead Sean and Sackhead
But it had the
Clan.
big harness, right? The big handle?
Yeah, it is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. I should have taken a picture, but I left my phone in the truck.
They are very defensive.
So I couldn't get it. Look, this one was weird. It was like doing
the world to the best.
Like the guy was just leading it around inside the bank, and I was like, "I don't know what you can really do about it."
I just want to know how.
Could you imagine if we were
It's
talking
a
about this
service
on air
animal.
right now? It's general jackassery right now.
It's a service animal. It has to be allowed inside.
Oh, I know, but how ridiculous is that? That's where we are in society today.
I don't think it's ridiculous. Alpacas need work too.
No, it was a llama.
Oh yeah, no, forget it. They're only llamas. Those things suck.
So here's my plan. I want to get a sackhead seal.
And in this web was a large...
Hear me out on
It was
this.
the biggest spider I've ever seen.
We get a seal in one of those blue tubs, the rope handles that you can like bring around. We get one of those and we put our seeing eye seal in the tub.
Yeah.
And we drag it into a bank or at the Conservative Black Caucus.